Hello and welcome to This Is Fucking Ridiculous. So I'm back from my attempted camping mission. Very impromptu. I think my LCD's a bit balked actually on my camera. I actually thought I was going to lose my camera to the rain. That's a story for another time. I wanted to do an impromptu camping trip just because on the weekend it said the weather was bad and it was rainy, and today when I looked at the weather and before I left the house, it actually said it was like cloudy, dry, 20 degrees or above, with a slight chance of drizzle in the evening. And so I thought, this is my chance. I'm gonna do a camping mission because it's been a while and I wanted to get another camping trip in, even if it was just a short one, sort of going out onto the moor to somewhere I felt I could get to, which was Gibbet Hill. And I think I left it like half an hour too late because it was sort of dusk, and I thought, I can find my way across the moors to Gibbet Hill in the dusk while the sky's still light. If it's going to be like this, dry and cloudy. Just as I was about to leave the house, I told my parents I was going, and they were like, "Oh, did you know that there might be a severe weather warning?" I'm like, "Oh, come on! I don't believe there's a severe weather warning. It says it was cloudy." So I guess I didn't check if the weather had changed, because they keep changing the weather very frequently recently. They can't. It's like they basically can't predict the weather at this stage because they just they post the the icon of the sun and the black cloud and the rain all in one picture, just to cover all their bases, so that, hey, anything could be right? It could be anything. We don't know. It's basically what they're saying, is they can't predict the weather. And then if they say it's a sunny day, they change it several times a week until it gets to the day, and even what they say then turns out to be wrong sometimes. It's just annoying. So I don't often rely on the weather forecast that much. And I went out, and it seemed pretty dry. And okay, the entire trip, right? There were problems, and I'll tell you about the problems. But the entire trip, I was warm. There was no point that trip where I felt even the slightest bit cold. So it's August, so it's kind of expected. But you would think, in severe weather, which is what ended up happening, it would be cold, but no, not at all. So that out of the way, I went out onto the moors, had my big pack on. Pack didn't seem too bad actually to carry. I wasn't carrying additional stuff because I thought, I'll be able to just walk off the moor and hike back to home in the morning, so I can, whatever, use toothpaste or get food and stuff and a shower once I get back in the morning. And so I went up onto the moors and hiked for a long time and got to Gibbet Hill and climbed up Gibbet Hill, and it was already, I noticed as I was climbing up the hill, getting dark. And I had my torches with me, so I got a torch out, but I was I could still see the ground without the torch, but I was starting more and more as I climbed up the hill to use the torch, because I was starting not to be able to see features on the ground. Just to give you an idea of what kind of dusk it was. There were clouds actually moving in at this stage, and I thought, is there going to be severe weather? And I got up to the quarry bit of Gibbet Hill. There are no rocks on Gibbet Hill really, but there's like a couple of mine shafty bits and not mine shafts, but mine workings, and some quarry spoil piles, piled up rocks, And it started getting windy around then. I looked at the top and thought, okay, I'm not going to go to the top, because the Yes Tour thing happened, So I thought, okay, this time I'll give myself some cover. But at that time, I was relying on the torches 100%, and it was already too dark to see anything on the ground without the torch. And because I was next to this quarry pile thing, turned on the torches, there's just a rock field underneath me, just loads of rocks everywhere, strewn out. And there were like rocks about, like bigger than my hand span now, most of them. Which came in handy for putting down on the tent pegs, which was an epic in itself. I don't know if those stake things do any better, or the red ones that have they're not even curved, they're just straight, but they have these jags on it. Apparently those are better for getting in the ground. I think because I was near the spoil pile, there was actually some rock under the ground. I keep finding rock under the grass. So putting my tent pegs in, a lot of them got bent, most of them didn't go in very deep. So I added rocks to where the tent pegs were. Pansied about a bit trying to find a spot because there's loads of, moorland animal poop on the ground. In August, it gets to be almost everywhere. It's annoying and unavoidable, and I probably got quite messy trying to get rid of it all. So the wind was already picking up at this stage, and I thought, okay, I guess that severe weather warning thing is true, and the weather has actually changed from the forecast I thought it was going to be. And I thought, maybe if I put the tent up, I can test the tent in a storm, because I kind of wanted to test the tent to see if it was stormproof, and it is not stormproof. Anyway, I had quite an epic, a bit like Yes Tour, I had quite an epic trying to get the tent up. It must have taken more than 30 minutes to put the tent up in the dark, and I had two torches, one's a bike lamp, one's a torch I borrowed from my mum, and I turned them on and I placed them at various points on the grass, on the hill incline, facing the tent that I was trying to put up. And the lights often conked out, and I had to run up to the light and slap it to get it to turn on again. If they both turned off at the same time, which luckily they didn't, I wouldn't have been able to find where the torches were to slap them to make them turn on again. So it's good that didn't happen. But yeah, it wasn't raining at this time, but it was very windy. It was kicking up a real fuss. It might not have been as strong as Yes Tour when I first tried to put the tent up on Yes Tour that time, but it was pretty damn windy, to be honest. So I put the base up in the dark, just using these two torches, and there's loads of animal poop everywhere. Yuck. I had to kick a bunch out the way, as you do. And I thought, oh, what am I getting myself in for? Putting the poles up, the bendy poles, into a dome shape. That was an epic in itself. I clipped some of the lower bits to the poles as I was putting it up to steady it. Wind kept pulling the tent off the tent pegs. Bloody annoying. I had to put them on again in the dark, running around with the bicycle lamp torch while the other torch was shining at me from a distance, occasionally conking out. So this is why it took like 30 minutes. And then I finally got that up, tried to tie the knot around it. There's two crossbar poles at the top, and you tie the lower tent to the cross piece at the top. Tied that once and it undid itself, double knotted it. Got the fly sheet on. That took a long time. I was pegging it, it was turning inside out. The problem with that fly sheet that I had is often when you're starting to put it up, the wind takes it and flips it over, and you never know what way is the forward entrance, and you're trying to find out where the heck the forward entrance is and where the heck the four corners are. Then you need to peg, and you can't really find that easily. Yeah, I finally got that up. It was wonky. It was blowing it to the side like in a bow. It was bowing to the side. Nothing was lining up. I finally got the guy ropes in. They weren't helping at all. I felt like there needed to be more guy ropes, to be honest, to actually pull it in the direction where the wind was blowing from. I thought it would be sheltered under the quarry, because the quarry was higher than the roof of the tent, but the wind must be coming off the quarry, going down and straight into the tent, like not being shelter of any kind. So that was fucking annoying. Finally got to the point where I could open the door and shove my hiking backpack and all the other stuff in through the door, which I thought should give it some weight on the base so the wind can't take it. And then first I started feeling specks of rain, drizzle. I thought, oh, drizzle's coming. Is it going to be drizzle like I thought, or is it going to be severe weather warning? And I thought, okay, I've got to get inside the tent. I looked over to the top of Gibbet Hill, and there were two lights. There were two hikers, I think. I was actually worried for a moment. They were like, I thought they were going to come toward me and like ask me, like, what are you doing here, or whatever. Some people get like that on the moor. Yeah, there's two hikers with torches, like wandering up on the top of the Gibbet Hill. I was like, what are you doing out here in the wind in the night? That's really weird. And yeah, so I guess they were just hikers. They passed by, and then I felt the specks of rain and got into the tent, zipped it up, and that's when I started recording some of the videos you see here. Hello and welcome to This is fucking ridiculous. I came out here thinking it was a good weather condition to put my tent up, and it took me fucking ages in the dark to put my tent up because the winds were blowing, and this is not a good storm tent, it turns out. I might get clubbed on the head by my torch, which you can see there. I might get clubbed on the head by that later. Tent might blow away in the night. It's a possibility, yeah. Let's see what we can do. My best spot, sleeping pad up. This is fucking insane. I don't know why I did this. I could have been at home, I could have been watching podcasts. Luckily this is partially self-inflating. Oh man. But it does need a few puffs from me. I put rocks on my guy ropes because I'm near a little kind of quarry thing. It's the best frigging windbreak I can manage around here. I wanted to go on Gibbet Hill. If I went to the top of the Gibbet Hill, which is that way, I'm pretty sure I would have been blown off the hill. Wow. Oh, I need to wash my hands first. What's this? Vestibule. What is it? Sound. Stay up. Stay up, Poles. There's my water. I couldn't actually, because it's getting dark, find an ideal place to put the tent down, but I think I should wash my hands, try and get out the vestibule. Fuck. Oh, I've undone the wrong thing. Where's the right thing? There's the right thing. Don't know if anything's collapsed out here. Don't know yet. Yeah, you want to see it out there? I don't know if you can see much. Let's get the torch on it, shall we? Let's get the torch on it. Won't see an area. You can sort of see. I don't know if it's focusing, to be honest. I'd like it to focus. I'd also like it to stop being this windy. That goes off by itself sometimes, that's why it got a bit dark, I think. Might have to call that my washing water. Nothing came down though. Who knows? I don't think I'm going to make it through the night. I think the tent poles are going to come out despite me putting rocks around the corners. I think the tent pegs are going to come out. I think I'm going to be lying like flat in this thing at some point. I don't think I'm going to get hardly any sleep. But I'll have a go. Because the trek back is in the dark. And obviously I'd have to pack away the tent, which I prefer to do in daylight. This is going to be interesting. I can hear the rain pattering. Can't even hear the air coming out my arm. Maybe I should do it the other way around. A bit more headspace over this side. I think it seems to be coming from over there, which is, ironically, the wind's coming from over there, which is where the shelter is. It's really windy while I was putting up the tent, but there's like stars out and stuff over that way. It's crazy. A little bit out of puff into this. Okay, it's my best sport inflated. Fuck knows how I'm going to survive the night though. I know why my camera won't focus. Maybe it just doesn't want to. Maybe it just doesn't want to. I wonder what this would be like if I was at home seeing it out my window or hearing it. It seems scary. It's like a more mini sleeping bag. Got a blanket as well. Blanket. I don't know what else is in this. I got a flannel. Doesn't feel cold. Fuck. Right, yeah. At some point these are going to snap. I don't even know how long my camera's going to film for. I'll pause, I'll save some back. I don't know what I'm doing here. It's not easing off. It's just brushing the tent every now and then, almost flat. Very disconcerting. I imagine if the rocks get rolled off, then the pegs of the fly sheet come out. Then the fly sheet flies off somewhere with a pole in it, which will probably keep part of it rigid so it can take off easier. Yeah. And then I'm left with this inner bit, which pegs might come out of, but it's got me inside it, so it's heavier. So it could try to take off with me in it, but I'll be in it, so it'd be a bit heavy for it to take off. So it might knock me over getting out of it. And then of course I've got all my stuff inside it, so I have to get that out in a hurry. Not 100% sure how I'd try and pack it away if I decided I want to go back home. I wonder how strong these fiberglass poles are. I suppose it's not about how strong they are, it's about they won't friggin' stay in the holes and the pegs won't stay in the ground. Yeah, this is a bit of a strange one. I didn't even know the weather was going to be like this. We'll see how this fucking goes. Do they stress test these, I wonder? Because I'm stress testing it now. That's for sure. heard the tent manufacturers stress tested them, but something tells me they don't that much. It doesn't feel like a very resilient make of tent in this windy weather. Status update, one of the poles has come unclipped, I can feel it at the top. I'm going to try and bail. Time to be some kind of warrior. I don't know if that's warrior with an A or warrior with an O, but this thing, if it's unclipped, it's coming down. So, let's try and pick up my stuff and walk through the night in the wind. Also, there's a thunderstorm warning on my phone. Great. Pretty insane, to be honest. It's nearly 1 AM, I think. It's crazy out there. I don't know if you can hear the wind now. It's just out there, obviously. You can see the water from my boots. My boots, literally. Look at that. The tent was being destroyed while I was in it. But I managed to get it down in the storm. Recycle bins just fallen over in the wind. And so the tent was collapsing on me from the inside. It was pushing down, so the cross piece was almost coming down to my head. And I've tied my little torch up the cross piece. I thought that might knock me out. Fuck. Well, I got to the point where I was like, is that the shape? Because you could see through the inner sheet to the fly sheet on the outside, and there's a pattern of green and white. And I saw a line between green and white, but it was at a diagonal angle. I was like, is that meant to be that shape? So I started feeling the poles through the inner tent to see if they were clipped in. And then I got across the top. I was like, that's clipped in, all these are clipped in. Okay, it looks like the tent pegs in the four corners are still holding in this fucking wind. And I felt the pole, and I reached a point where I felt the cord of a pole, which is normally when they're disconnected. I thought, is that disconnected? Am I going to have to go outside and repair this? And then I felt like a splintery bit. The frigging tent pole had snapped. Also, I heard lots of tearing noises, and that turned out to be true. The tent pole had snapped, and it had torn a hole through the top of the tent, and one of the tent pegs was definitely out. There was also an icon on my weather app showing the thunderstorm icon. Fuck me. Yeah, at that point, my tent was destroying itself. After I recorded my video clips, it was destroying itself above me. Basically, I had decided, alright, I'm getting out of here. I've got to get out of here. That's all I got to do. But I was thinking, this must be a monumental task because I'm going to go out into a rainstorm for the first time. In storm conditions, and take down my tent, sopping wet, and stuff it into my bag, and walk through the storm at night back home with torches that might fail on me. Yikes! I thought, okay, at this point the tent pole's broken above my head. I'm kneeling up in my tent, and I'm literally the thing that is keeping my tent up at this stage. Like, I am the only tent pole in my tent. When I kneel up with my head on the ceiling, I'm what's propping the tent up from the inside. And I thought, well, I've got to stay in here because I've got my blanket, I've got my roll-out inflatable mattress, I've got my sleeping bag here. I've unpacked a few things, and then I've got to go out there into the storm and take the tent down in the dark with those torches again. And now it was raining like fuck. It was getting torrential outside. I could hear it. And the tent poles, I thought, something could snap here. Maybe one of the rocks I put on the tent pegs outside could be flung by the tent into me or something. Worst case scenario, somehow the tent could... Oh, the fly sheet, the bit that I was technically not holding down with my weight, could come off from the ground, fly off the moor a couple of miles down to a road, and fly in front of traffic, if there was any traffic, which there actually wasn't, but It would have been it would have been a disaster. And also, I was concerned with leave no trace with the campsite. I wanted to leave no trace when I packed up my tent, which meant I definitely had to pack up all my tent and put it in my backpack somehow in the dark in the storm. So yeah, I started rolling up my mattresses and stuff, and I thought, if this tent collapses on me, I need an escape route. So I unzipped the semicircle kind of door thing just a little bit, and at the one point while I was kneeling, the tent collapsing above me, rolling up the inflatable mattress, the light flickered out for a sec, and then it flickered on again. And I thought, where am I? I was in this weird place. Like, this wasn't what I was looking at before. And I realised that I was in between, like the door had a little gap opening so I could escape, had come over me up to my neck, so there's my neck, and I was sticking out of the inner tent, and I was between the inner tent and the fly sheet looking up at the where the crosspiece was, and I could see the snapped bar. I was like, where am I? Oh, okay, the wind has blown me halfway between the tents. That kind of cracked me up a bit. I tried to keep good spirits, but I thought, once the thunder starts happening, I'm going to be a bit terrified. It took quite a long time to put all the stuff in the tent away. Finally stepped out. The shoes were a little bit damp. Got them on. Got the backpack to a stage where almost everything was in it, and pulled myself out of the tent, expecting it to be completely horrific and ice cold and terrible, and me to be blown off my feet. It was actually less bad just outside the tent than it was being in the tent. So that was a bit of a relief for a second. I was like, well, this is not quite as bad as I thought it'd be, even though it was bad. The rain was everywhere. It was good enough, and it was warm to a point where I could concentrate. And I think my camera lens is misting out. Nope, it's just my LCD. It's balked because of the rain getting into it, I think. Great. It's like faded. Yeah, so then I had another ridiculous 30 minutes rolling up with the soaking wet fly sheets and stuff, and trying to figure out where the tent pegs were, and trying to figure out where the guy ropes were in the dark with the crossbeam. I got the bicycle lamp on one patch of land and tried to triangulate it, put the torch on another patch of land on the quarry facing me, and every now and then one would cut out, and every now and then I'd need the bag lamp I'd need to pick it up off the ground basically and walk back to the tent just so I could see stuff from a different angle, because the light wouldn't catch what I was looking at in great enough detail. Ridiculous winds. I had to roll up this sopping wet fly sheet, and I saw the tear. The fly sheet is totaled, and now the inner tent is ridiculously wet. It's downstairs soaking, and I have to find, I don't know when I'm going to find the next time to air that out, or whether it's even worth airing out, because I think my tent might be destroyed at this stage. I have to get a new tent, more storm resilient tent. And yeah, that was a test to see, first of all, if what this little blanket thing Mum got me from my vestibule, this little floor sheet, would be like. Never got to try that out. So that's actually here. It's in there. It's kind of a, you can't see it, it's kind of a camo colour floor sheet for the bit where your shoes go, just outside the tent door. Never got to try that out. And I wanted to stay out there. I actually got kind of set up with I wanted to see if the tent that I had was storm resilient. And no, it's just absolutely 100%. The Samu 3 or 4 season tent, I think is its name. This is a tent review, right? Samu 3 season tent does not resist wind. Just does not. I know that I'm sure there are tons of tents out there that are more resilient to wind like that. Anyway, once I finally got everything away, which I was amazed I was able to do it, and I was absolutely exhausted. and I was getting so soaked. My jeans were so soaked. I don't think I've ever had them that soaked before. Managed to get the backpack on my back. I'd been there before, so I kind of knew the geography of where I was, even in the dark. I had both torches on there, like beams pointed two directions. I was moving them all around, so I could see all the puddles. There were no bogs up on Gibbet Hill. There aren't any real bogs on Gibbet Hill, or marshes, but there was tons of very deep puddles now because the rain was intense. And I've walked through what I like to call monsoon rains before, and countless times when I've walked through heavy monsoon rains around here, and I don't think I've ever been in a rainstorm that was like the one tonight. I was literally so soaked. The rain was big fat droplets, and I was so soaked that I felt like I was swimming, or like the feeling you get when you just pull yourself out of a swimming pool and your trunks stick to you, kind of thing. And it's like, but imagine that feeling just staying on you. I felt kind of like I was paddling in the sea or underwater. The rain was quite refreshing my face, especially because everything was actually really warm still. Like, it felt like I was in the water while walking down the hill. Like my shoes, the shoes felt like they were absolutely ponds. Yeah, just it wouldn't matter if I stepped knee deep into a puddle because I'd already was technically feeling that feeling already. And it was quite pretty walking back, actually. I could see in my dark. I was following the track. I was dodging the puddles. At one point I thought, what would it be like if I turned off my torches right now? Would it be pitch black? And I turned off my torches, and just for a second, and I looked around, and it is really pretty. It was black on the ground everywhere except where there were puddles, and they were reflecting the sky. And there's a lot of puddles, and they're all reflecting the sky, especially on the tracks. There's a line of them down there. And the sky was like a brownish orange. The torch beams were lighting up the rain in front of me. The visibility was like the visibility through the rain, you can see that far. You'd see in front of you though, a few hundred yards. The sky was this orangey, muddy brown, and you could see the lights of Mary Tavy, which is a town down the hill from Gibbet Hill, and you could see lights from Tavistock, and if you looked in the other direction, you could see lights of like a couple cars every now and then just lighting through the fog with their street lamps from behind the hill, which threw the hill into like sharp black silhouettes, and you could see the quarry and everything. And luckily I knew exactly where I was. I followed the track. I finally found the gate and got out, and then on my way hiking across the roads and stuff, the rain was just like pouring like a river down the side of the roads, you know how it happens in the storm. And I reached the place with lots of street lamps, and it was hella pretty. Like the orange is a place where there were still like orange street lamps. It was like shining beams through the heavy rain, and there's like a big river of water running on the very side of the road where I was sloshing through, is almost ankle deep. Then at one point, it's a really funny thing. I looked down and I saw this animal bopping around. I was like, what is that? And it's in the river by the side of the road. It was a frog. I was like, what the fuck? Why are you out here? There's a little frog. And he was jumping down the river the side of the road, and then he jumped up on the curb like in front of me, and then he kind of stopped, I think because he saw my torch coming towards him. I had my torch on just to see him, and I kind of knelt down beside the frog because he stopped in front of me. I just kind of had a moment like kneeling in the rain with this frog. I just kind of stood up, and he went into a bush, and I kept on going. I thought, god damn, I can't film that because my camera's in my bag, and my bag's super heavy, and my camera is probably totaled, which is not. It seems to be working, but the LCD is fucked. And I thought I could have filmed that frog, but I've experienced it. I haven't documented it. at least I experienced it, and it was a beautiful moment, and the lighting was just amazing. Like orange street lamps and the frog in the white light of my torch. So, that was my first storm camping trip. And it was fucked, and my tent is fucked. And make sure you get a tent that can stand storms. And even if shelter is up to the height of your tent and you're right next to it, it could well not even be any kind of shelter. Yeah, bring lots of backup torches. I am going to have to do some research and actually find out what's the best wind resist tent, because I don't actually know, and I certainly don't have it. But that was an experience, and it was kind of exciting, and it was fun walking back, and it was kind of terrifying at some points. Anyway, goodbye. That was not really a camping video, but goodbye.